I love meat already. So I don't feel like this is going to be a huge problem for me. My husband was on board, of course, because he loves meat. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. So February 5th of 2022, I started Carnivore. And within 12 days, my visuals were almost completely gone. Within 12 days, my head pressure that felt like it was blowing up like a balloon for all those months was gone. When I went back in and got my second MRI, because I wanted one that month, I was really curious to see before and afters. The lining of my arteries in the back of my head were back to normal. Within 12 days, within 4 months, my gastrointestinal system was completely normal. I was having normal bowel movements every day. I had no more stomach issues. I had a little bit of floaters and a little bit of visual issues, but nothing like it was at all. And by August of last year, I would say I was about 80% better, give or take. I hadn't gone back to work yet because I would still get overstimulated where my body, if I was in like these lights here, are fluorescents and they drive me crazy still. But I just still had to be really careful. Like if we went hiking and I couldn't go for like a 5 mile, it'd be like, okay, we're going to go only be able to drive for like 20, 30 minutes, hike for a half hour and then come home. I couldn't do any backpacking or anything like that all last summer. Yeah. So then in August, I started with the Steak and Butter Gang and I started priming and we started fasting. And just ever since then, and I think the community really helps, just having a very consistent carnivore eating habit, I guess. I feel great. I'm back to work. I'm at work. It's phenomenal. So yeah, I don't know what else to say.
Well, that's quite a story. And I'm glad you, got through it. I'm sorry you had to go through all that stuff. I just wonder how much money do you think was spent in healthcare costs to basically say, hey, just eat a better diet? I mean, seriously, I bet you spent $100,000, if not more. I mean, the CGRP inhibitors are $7,000 a year, on average. And so how much money and time and effort and specialists do you think you kind of spent wasting on all this
My
stuff?
husband actually calculated, like from 2011, we do our own taxes. And so we calculated, and from 2011 to the end of 2022, it was upwards of $300,000.
Wow. It's amazing.
And that, my insurance covers quite a bit, but
right.
If I didn't have insurance, we did spend $10,000 out of pocket just in the year of 2018 with all those tests.
Well, yeah, that $300,000 I paid for, and everybody else pays
right.
Insurance premiums, pays for that stuff. So it's no wonder we spend $4 trillion a year on healthcare, and we have not much to show for it, particularly when it comes to chronic disease. So it's a very sad situation. So you had this, basically almost quote unquote miraculous recovery from what was a very, very bad place with the GI symptoms, with the neurological symptoms, the quality of life where you're basically almost bedridden, where you can't do anything, to now you're back to work and happy and smiling and a functioning human being again. Did you have any follow-up with any of the neurologists or doctors subsequent to your dietary shift? And was there any comment? Because, the doctor, even the GI doctors, which to me, it just shocks me that they'll say that diet has nothing to do with your GI health. And I'm flabbergasted anytime somebody says that, but it still happens even today in 2023. Any feedback from physicians? Did you tell them you're eating an all meat diet? Did that ever occur? And what was the response?
So I did, because I went back to my neurologist. I wanted that MRI. I wanted to find out why I felt so good, like what had happened to my inflammation that fast. Because the other thing, Dr. Baker, is I wasn't eating just like crap every day. I was trying to follow a low carbohydrate keto diet, but also it had a lot of dairy, which I think is a problem for me, but I was trying to do things that they never even talked about. So for when I went back and said, I want to do this, and I am eating meat and eggs, that's literally all I'm eating. And I had not been eating dairy at that point. I told my neurologist, he's like, you can't do that. That's going to kill you. And I said, well, maybe in the long run, but for right now, I'm going to do this because I haven't been able to get upstairs in the light of my upstairs in 6 months. So I'm going to continue to do it. And still, I've only seen him once. He discharged me last November, and he still was like, I just don't promote this for you. I really don't think it's going to be healthy for you, and you're going to have cholesterol issues. And so his whole thing was just, he wasn't an advocate for it. My primary care doctor, on the other hand, is very supportive. He's like, whatever you need to do to make yourself feel better is fantastic. And he's an interesting fellow, but he's fantastic. And I really, really appreciate his openness to be supportive. And my optometrist just started being carnivore. I just went back to him in February, and a year after my, so it's been 2 years now, my eyesight, my papilla edema on the right is completely gone. And my eyesight in my right eye was 0.50, and now it's 1. Or reverse of that. I'm not exactly sure, because I'm not sure how that works, but it's better. He couldn't believe it. He was like, wait, what are you doing? So I guess it's been mixed with, my primary care doctor being super supportive, but the neurologist not. And it's not shocking, to be honest. He wasn't really supportive of a lot of things. So, but for a migrainer, what I think is also interesting is that there's a lot of research on migraines being exacerbated by sugar and carbohydrates. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of information out there supporting this claim. And for a neurologist to not even say to you, like, maybe you should try to eliminate carbohydrates. Just a thought, just try it and see what happens. I mean, nothing. He never said a word to me besides lower my stress, which I manage my stress, I think, for the most part, as best as I can with meditations and therapy and my horses. And I mean, I do things to manage that. Sing super loud.